Hey, good morning, boys and girls. It's Mr. Whitley, and this lesson is for April the 15th, Wednesday. Hopefully, you are able to drop off your old packet and you're able to get your new packet either on Monday or Tuesday. And if you flip through it, you've noticed that the packets are really similar. The only big difference is those articles are a little shorter. They've added a few other things in there, but for the most part, they're pretty much the exact same as what you've been working on. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into foundations. So what we would be looking at if we were in class, it would be talking about still double vowel teams, AU and AW sounds. Now, we know that AU and AW, even though they have two different letters in them, the U and the W, they still make the same sound. So our first example is in August. So in August, that AU makes that all sound. For Saul, that AW makes that all sound as well. And the one thing that when you're tapping out those double vowel teams, if we're tapping them out, they only get one tap. So for Saul, even though there's 3 letters, you would only do 2 taps. So it would be like, but you would put your 2 fingers together to show that those 2 letters are combined. So it would be like this, s, all, s, all. Even though you have 3 letters, you get 2 taps, okay? If we were looking at marking them up, like ant, what we would do just before we would mark it up, we'd tap it out. So we talk about ant. We'd have the AU would get 1 tap. The N and the T would each get a separate tap. So even though there's 4 letters, you get a total of 3 taps. We'd circle the AU. We'd put a D under the double vowel team, and then we would put a line under the N and the T because it is a blend, not a digraph. Now over here for straw, we'd have straw. The ST, that is a blend, but we have an R that we add to the end of it. So we actually combine the blend and the digraph. So here's our digraph, here is our R making that digraph with a blend there, and we'd circle the AW, we'd make a D at the end. So the big thing is, thinking about the AU and AW sounds, they both can make the same sound, that all sound. So think of some of the words that you know that have AU or AW in it that makes that all sound. Okay, so jumping right over here to bar graphs. So you and I have been working with bar graphs for the last few lessons, and we know the purpose of a bar graph is to help us to keep track of data or information in order to answer a question. So in this case, we have a table that tells us about the measurement of a plant. So let's see if we have Lily. Lily has been growing a plant in her backyard. Maybe it's a flower, a nice flower. How about a lily? A lily, that sounds good. So she has been measuring this flower, and on May 1st, she measured it and it was 2 inches tall. About a week later, it was about 1 inch taller, 3 inches. On May 15th, about another week later, it was 5 inches tall, and on May 22nd, it was 8 inches tall. So what we would do is we'd come over here. I've already started our bar graph. You'll notice on the side, we have numbers. Then on the bottom, we have dates, and we're missing our title and our labels. Well, if we're talking about measuring a plant, we could probably do something as a title of like height height of plant. Now down here, this is pretty easy. What would we label it as? Well, we see it's all months, all the month of May. We have specific dates. So we could just certainly put dates. As our label, just kind of letting us know that, hey, those are the dates. We could even go further and say the dates that we measured the plant on, but today we're going to keep it shorter. On the side, the numbers. What do those numbers refer to? Well, if we go up to our table up here, we see that we've been measuring in inches. So we would come down here and we would say maybe the height of plant in inches. I gotta write sideways, this is where it gets tricky. The height of plant in inches. And then so what we go through is the table, we pull that information from the table to help us to answer it. So for May 1st, we go over here and say, okay, that's 2 inches. The very bottom line is 0. This is 1 inch. This would be 2 inches. So we gotta start here, fill in 1, 2 for our columns for our bar graph. For May 8th, we'd have 3, so we'd fill in 1, 2, 3, and we go across and make sure that it matches up with that line. For May 15th, we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for May 22nd, we go all the way up to 8. So I would just go through and fill all of these guys in. Okay. So there's a lot of information that we could get. The first thing is, hey, what was the height that we ended up with as far as a plant? Well, that plant ended up being 8 total inches. We could say, hey, what did we start off with as far as the height when we first began measuring it? We could say we started on May 1st and it was 2 inches. We could say, hey, what was the difference between the height of the plant when we first started measuring it compared to the end? Well, we have 2 inches for May 1st. We have 8 inches for May 22nd. So what we would do is we take our final number, or our biggest number, and subtract our first number. So 8 minus 2 would give us a total of 6. So we could say that it grew 6 inches in the time that we started measuring it. And we could also look at it and talk about, hey, which month did it have the biggest jump in growth? Well, from May 1st to May 8th, it was a 1-inch jump. From May 8th to May 15th is a 2-inch jump. From May 15th to May 22nd, it was a 3-inch jump. So May 22nd had the biggest jump as in height, okay? So that might not be a bad idea for an activity for you guys to do at home. You could always measure the people in your household. If you don't have a ruler, you can always come up with a guess. It doesn't have to be precise. What you're really trying to do is keep track of your information. So you could have your dad's height, maybe he's 6 foot. Then mom's height, maybe she's 5'5", and then your height, 4.5. Maybe you have a younger brother or sister. Maybe you have an older brother or sister. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have a dog. You could always measure how tall the dog is as well. You could write down that information, come up with your title, height of people in my family. You'd be measuring probably not in inches completely. You would be talking about feet. You could always, instead of putting months, you would put the days of the people. So you could say mom, dad, me, Ralph the dog, I don't know. And just come up with your own at home. As far as foundations, just go ahead and practice some of those AU and AW words that have the ah sound in them, and tap them out and see if you can write them up and mark them up, okay? And with the new packet, if you have any questions, have mom or dad send me a Bloom's message, and I'd be happy to answer that as best as I can, okay? So we're going to go ahead and pause, and then we're going to come back and do our read aloud.